everyone. It is with great pleasure that I'm here today representing MetLife with an all-female panel to celebrate International Women's Day. We have some great examples for you today with real women who I am very grateful to for sharing their varied and inspiring experiences of the importance of financial planning for women today and the role that insurance can play in protecting their financial health and also their wellness. With me today, I have Dolly and Ruchika, who are both great examples of female insurance professionals who are making a difference every day by increasing awareness and protection for women and men in our market. And also we have Norwina here, who is here to share her example of overcoming adversity when experiencing one of life's great challenges. I'd also like to thank you all for joining and all our organisers and facilitators who have made this happen today, Christina and Pragati, and along with Ahmed, who has championed this from the start. So happy International Women's Day, everyone. I look forward to a great discussion and would like to invite our guests that are with us today. If you do have any questions for us, please go to the questions tab on the GoToWebinar, and we will be answering those at the end of the session. So thank you again for joining us today. So I'll just introduce. So here we have Ruchika, who is a MetLife sales manager. Hi, Ruchika. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too.
Great. Good to have you here. Dolly, who is a MetLife D2C account manager.
Hi, everyone, and happy Women's Day to all. I'm Dolly, and the DTC, I'm an account manager in DTC.
Great to have you here, Dolly.
Thank you so much.
Norwina is with us today. She's a MetLife insurance specialist. And
hi, everyone.
Hi, Norwina. Okay, so now that you've met our esteemed panel, I would like to move into the questions. So our first question on the importance of financial planning is going to Dolly today. So Dolly, we'd like to ask you, how does a woman today set her financial plans and what would be her considerations when doing so?
Thank you, Nadine, for the question. Talking about today's woman is financially more empowered. I mean, around 80 to 90% of women now realize the importance of having, earning or, being financially stable. So that gets into account, when you are financially stable or when you earn, you have a lot of, options where you can go ahead and decide in terms of, investment, in terms of, how you want to look at your own life and your family. So, getting to know, a woman, if I compare, women of earlier generation, like going back to my mother's time, I mean, her entire thing revolved only around, what her financial decisions were based on how much income my father would get at the end of the month. So now when I compare that woman with the current woman, obviously there is a lot that has changed. Now women earn for themselves, they believe in investing in themselves, they believe in investing that kind of money and time in their family. So their consideration obviously would be, more towards, how I would want to go ahead and spend my salary. So that would be maybe about cash flow management, a very effective cash flow management where I would want to save some amount of money. I want to invest for my future. If I want to go ahead and, save something for my retirement, I would want to have a strong retirement plan. If I have something excess that I have in terms of, if I'm getting something extra savings or any extra income, I would want to go ahead and invest in maybe a gold bond investment return bonds, or maybe something like a real estate. So these are the current financial considerations that a lady might have, and of course this all points out to a very safe and secure future.
Thank you, Dolly. I think you've made a great point of how it's evolved over the years. The generation that you're talking about from your mother's generation is not very far from yours, yet the wants and needs were very different for your mum in comparison with what you have and other women that are here with us today as well. So I think that's a great point to make, and that the fact that women now have earning power and they may want to use that earning power to invest or to protect themselves and make sure that they protect that earning power in case something does happen in the future. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you, Nadine.
So our next question is to Ruchika. Ruchika, in terms of what Dolly has discussed with us today, one of those items that a woman might consider now, which she may have not considered in the past, is insurance. So what would you consider as the main financial impact of not having insurance?
Thank you, Nadine, for the question. And before I begin, wishing everybody a very happy International Women's Day. Why I say everybody is all the women here who are attending, and women back home for all the men counterpart. As correctly established by Dolly, there is a strong need to have a financial plan. And it is extremely important for us to really weigh all the components that make for a good financial plan. And what we have, being in sales, what we've been observing nowadays is that considering this pandemic, there has been a sudden awakening towards knowing what insurance is. While everybody knows, but there are more questions around this and this about what your insurance plan covers, what sort of insurances can we get. And that fortunately has laid a strong foundation for us to know why really we need insurance and what is the impact of not having one. So, considering that, what I would also like to say is that, one would like to consider insurance, and we may consider making it a vital part of our financial plan if one wants to provide any measure of security to their loved ones. Because when there is a loss of a loved one, there is a huge vacuum that's created, and this vacuum tends to deepen if the person who is no longer earning was an earning person of the family. So at the cost of reiterating, what I would like to say is that the purpose of taking an insurance, which could provide you living or death benefits, is to mitigate the financial calamity that an insured or the family could potentially bear. So a proceed that a life insurance policy or a living benefit policy provides, they can be used to cater to short-term expenses, which are medical bills. It can be used to catering to the funeral expenses in case of an unfortunate demise. It could very well help in eliminating any sort of outstanding debt that a family may have. And it also helps to create reserves for the milestones that a family does have, whether or not there is an earning member in the family. Or, just as simple as covering the day-to-day expenses that a family does have. So foregoing a life insurance as a part of an insurance, as a part of your financial plan, can have a huge financial impact on the outlook of the family, which is beyond the aftershocks that a family may bear. So, if a person has a home, we see that, I'm going to kind of divide the impact into three main categories, which I see as a person earning nowadays. So if I was to have a home, or if a person has a home, there is a mortgage associated with it. There are upkeeps that are associated with it. So a proceed from an insurance can very well help to cater to those. If one has kids, not having life insurance can, impact their possibilities to get an education. It can impact it can impact the quality of education that they may have. So, we all know that in today's market, any sort of education that one may aspire to have in the countries like US or UK or any of the European countries, the cost can very well start from somewhere around $30,000, can go up to $50,000, which is only tuitions. We can have living expenses which add additional $20,000 to $25,000 to a person's annual expenditures. So overall, if a person wants to ensure that the kids of the family get what is rightfully theirs without being buried in the student debt, without being buried in the loans, we ought to consider insurance as a very important aspect of our financial plan. And thirdly, something that we see often gets ignored is, there is a surviving spouse. And if the spouse who's surviving is not earning and was a dependent, then the golden years of that spouse can be extremely bleak if there is nothing to really provide them the financial stability. So we need to consider insurance to have a stability, to provide a cushion for that spouse to live the retirement years, a little more comfortably, if I may say so. So, insurance is something we all need, and especially if we have dependents. Some of us choose to put it off, some of us, especially the younger generation, because of the ambiguity around it, thinking, what's in it for me? Oh, it costs a lot. I can make more if I invest into equities, or I can make more if I'm leveraging things. But, I want to say that the reality is that if we really do look at insurance, and if we are healthy, and we are younger, the insurance does not have that sort of financial impact on our monthly outflows. However, if we choose to not take insurance, it really does come with a much bigger price tag. So for me to actually put this question in a very, very simple term, is there a financial impact of not having an insurance? Certainly. So in a nutshell, in case of eventualities, an income can potentially disappear. It could disappear due to lots of reasons. But the financial commitments of a family, the financial responsibilities of the family, they do not disappear. They live on. So how we act today, whether we make insurance a part of our financial plan, determines the strength of the safety net that we're creating for ourselves. So I just want to put it out there that it's a component that possibly needs to be considered first after we have factored in our day-to-day expenses, rather than possibly being the last to be considered, depending on how much money we have.
Yeah, wow, Ruchika, thank you very much. I think that was a great response, and you covered a lot of aspects there. I think, in terms of insurance awareness and need increasing, unfortunately, we've all had that awareness increase because of COVID, and for some people, it's been a reality. The impacts that have been faced. So I think, these other implications that you've discussed around the obligations for the home, the kids, the education, I think these are all factors that, women are concerned about, as well as men. So it makes absolute sense that they are involved in the conversation. Yourself and Dolly and Norwina, you've all worked very hard in a male-dominated environment to be successful. So it's very important for you to protect yourselves and your assets, and make sure that you're all in a good position as well as the rest of the population as well. So thank you so much for your comprehensive response. As I mentioned, of course, we do have some people that really have experienced these situations, and we do have a guest who wasn't able to make it today because she is a working woman and had work obligations, which is a reality for people that are in the workforce. But thankfully, she shared her story with us, as she felt that it was important for people to hear. So in December last year, one of our customers was diagnosed with COVID. He previously didn't have any complications of sorts, but due to COVID, he passed away, leaving behind a wife and teenage daughter. As you can imagine, we've talked a lot about financial loss, but the emotional loss is the biggest impact. And this is very recent that this has happened. So both the family were dependent on the salary of this person. And he did make sure that he had a MetLife protection policy, and he had named his wife as his main beneficiary in that policy. MetLife did receive the claim request, and the customer did have some time before they were able to access all of the banking provisions. So what they were able to get from MetLife was that their claim and their full amount was dispersed within 6 working days, which provided a huge amount of financial relief to the beneficiary, and meant that his wife was able to cover everything that was being billed for in that moment in time, including their daughter's tuition, because she is of teenage age, and obviously that tuition is going to continue for the next few years. So this is an example of somebody that really had a hard time and was protected. There were a 2-income family, and now they are reliant on 1 income. and she's been able to really get back on her feet and back into a better position because she had the right protection cover that her husband had put in place and that they had decided to have as a family. Now, another real story that we have with us today is with Norwina. So Norwina is a MetLife insurance specialist, but also she is a lady that has overcome cancer and is also a COVID survivor. Norwina, I am so delighted to have you here sharing your experience. I know it's a very emotional journey for you that you've been through, and it's so good to see you looking well today. But what I'd really like you to do is just share your experience with everyone today, and I'm sure there will be lots of insights from your journey.
Hi everyone, I am Norwina. Thank you so much, Nadine, for a good introduction. My name is Norwina. I survived cancer 2 years ago, and I am here to share to you my story about my battle with cancer. So it was diagnosed last November 30, 2018. I got hospitalized on the second day of my vacation, November 26, 2018. I experienced severe pain, and I decided to go to the hospital. After a series of tests, they diagnosed that there was a tumor in my colon. So my surgeon advised for an immediate surgery. It was a long procedure, lasted for 8 hours. And then 3 days after the surgery, I got the report that I had a stage 2A colon cancer. It was a sudden news that shocked my family, me, and the closest people to me, because it was sudden and I don't have any bad symptoms prior to that diagnosis. And I don't have any family history also with regards to cancer. All my grandparents died in old age and some heart problems. So we don't have any cancer history in the family. After the news, after the doctor told me about the news, it was really hard for me to accept. My mind kept denying it because I'm not ready to accept that I have cancer. And I was worried about a lot of things also, like my kids, my life. What if I die? What will happen to my kids when they only have me? And I'm worried about the bills also. Who will pay the hospital bills? Because my family just rely on me financially. That's why I was here in Dubai for more than 14 years now, because I try to make it sure that my children will finish their studies. So that time, all two of my kids are still studying, and only one is already working. The hardest part is when I was there lying in that hospital bed, and I don't have anyone to turn to. There's nobody that could help me out, and I was in severe pain that only pain reliever can relieve me from that pain every day. And I have to worry about everything: my kids, the bills, how long will I live, those things. And it's very difficult. I have savings, but it's not enough. It hardly can cover the day-to-day expenses, because when you are hospitalized, you have food allowance to take care to, because there are people who are there visiting you. You have to offer them something, or the transportation allowance back and forth to the house, and then medical aids and medicines, because that time I had ileostomy. So that cost me a lot, because every 2 days I have to buy a set of ileostomy bags that will cost around 40 dirhams. And every 2 days, I need to change it. And then my money is over for a few days. And then one day, my daughter came to the hospital. She handed me something wrapped in plain paper. Then when I opened it, it was her Christmas bonus and 13th month pay. She gave it to me to buy my ileostomy bags. Guys, I never thought that a plain paper could weigh so much. That was so touching. And I kept that plain paper inside my wallet until now. It keeps me going. So I'm deeply troubled all throughout. Every day I'm worried. Bill came, it's almost 1,000,000 pesos. And I don't have anything on hand. So then a day comes, then I receive a call from Dubai. It's a landline number. I will never forget the exact words the other person from the other line told me. He said that, Norwina, we received your medical report. I am calling from MetLife. And we just want to tell you to go ahead, do all the tests and surgeries required. You don't have to worry about anything. MetLife will pay the cost. That's the guy told me. So I felt relieved, really. My youngest daughter also told me that she can't believe that my company will help me with the bills. Paying all the hospital bills is a big problem for our family. But MetLife pay for everything. I'm telling you all this because I know that we are all not financially prepared with this. You know, guys, one small plan of critical illness will hardly cost you one order of family pizza or wine and steak in a fancy restaurant. But it will matters most when you needed it. So at least get something for yourself because we really need it. We don't know when will illness comes to us. And I'm thankful that MetLife continuously supporting me with my checkups and everything until now. But it's a reality that not all company will do the same. You might end up losing your job and your medical insurance will not be there. Now I am cancer free and I will be forever grateful to MetLife. Of course, my family also. But I think that it is not the only purpose why I am blessed with Second Life. My true purpose is to share my experience with everyone and at least if possible influence one mind every day about the importance of life insurance and critical illness. Sharing same commitment with MetLife, it's my wish to see more families happy and grateful like my family.
Wow, thank you so much, Norwina. I could see from the ladies there wasn't a dry eye from that story. Thank you so much for sharing it. And you know, everyone will join me in saying we're so happy for you to be with us today and to share your really noble purpose to influence and make sure that other people have the same experience that you have and are able to be protected and covered during this, you know, these difficult times. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you so much. I think you really picked up on an important thing about your protective instincts. So your first thoughts, even though you mentioned, and Norwina, I think we all picked up, mentioned she was in incredible pain, but her main fear was, what about my kids? What about my family? How long am I going to be here to be able to provide for them, which shows, you know, how women really see themselves as the protectors. So, you know, women being protectors and being women ourselves, I'd like to ask the panel, anyone can go first, whoever wants to go. But is there something more you think that we should be doing as ambassadors in our industry to show women how they could be more protected or how they can protect themselves?
Before I begin, I just want to say, Norwina, more power to you. The story was really, really moving, and for me to just hear it is extremely overwhelming. I can only imagine what you and your family went through. This question is extremely important. We often put women on pedestals saying that they're protectors and they take care of families, and we look up to them. But are we doing enough to really deliver our promises in terms of protecting them? And why I say that is, I've been in sales for as long as I remember. And even I have done that mistake where a simple, a sales call tends to go to the male member of the family with an assumption that probably the woman does not have the decision-making power in the household. And, so there are a lot of conscious and unconscious bias in the market, in the world. And the more you're on the field, the more they get uncovered, the more you realize that there are things that are being, then they're unsaid, but it sort of prevails. And considering that, what I really need to, divide my response, especially, would be in two parts. There can be solutions that are more women-centric, and then there are proposals that are more women-centric. When I say, so coming to the first part, so while we have existing insurances, how an insurance is spoken about, how an insurance is proposed to a woman has to be different from that of a man, because one insurance solution cannot fit all. And a woman's risks or the needs are totally different and are extremely driven by the fact that we know that we have higher, longer life expectancies. We have risks of pregnancies, we have risks of childbirth, and other than these, these physical sort of risks that one tends to have, there are more societal things that drive how much financial ability that a woman has, which are about inheritance laws in the market where, they're not that entitled in a lot of places. A lot of practices tend to favor men in terms of what kind of income do they have in their hands. So I feel just the knowledge of this when we have our sales agents or sales force or our RMs or anybody who's actually proposing a solution to the woman, they need to, I feel, be very aware of these solutions and possibly use this as a foundation to propose it. Rather than possibly just going and speaking about insurance without really knowing what a woman goes through. So this is so that's one part of the solution. And the second part of the solution is to have products which are more women-centric. As we just heard Norwina talk about something that she unfortunately had to go through. So to have products which are talking about, especially catering to illnesses that are about women, and unfortunately they have to go through it. So when we explore these gaps that are there in the market, I feel that we can actually come up with solutions that are more about protecting the protectors that we often talk about. And not only will this empower women, this will make the world exist with the gender parity that we often talk about, but possibly not necessarily practice. I mean, I feel that there's a lot to be done in this subject, and we've not even scratched the surface of it yet.
Okay, thank you, Ruchika, for your response. I think you're right. There is an obligation to have some specifically tailored propositions that appeal. I think previously we've always thought it's men that buy insurance plans. So in terms of our targeting and also our salespeople, we need to think of the balance of who's having these conversations with women as well, because that also makes it easier when building that relationship. But yes, I think this something in terms of proposition is something we've worked on, and I can share a bit about that later as well. So another question to you, Ruchika. What type of insurance do you think, after listening to some of the examples that we've had today, do you think should be considered, and why?
Thanks, Nadine, again. Before we proceed to what type of insurances can we consider, I would like to also talk about, what are the components of an insurance plan. So when we set out to talk about an insurance plan with somebody, we often talk about, or most of the people associate the insurance with a death cover, which is true, which is partially true. But there are also survival benefits that are associated with the plan, which are called living benefits. So, in today's day and age, there are, of course, there are two risks that one tends to obviously have. There is a living too short and a living too long risk. And when we live too long, the life expectancy is increasing. And when we live longer than, what our ancestors used to live, there are other things that come into picture which need the support of living benefits, which need this important insurance component, which caters to, God forbid, there is, just like how, I would keep going back to Norwina, it's such a compelling story. If a person is detected with cancer, God forbid, there is the living benefits that we have, which are part of our insurance plans, wherein the insured who has been diagnosed with an illness can actually be upfronted with a lump sum amount, which can be used for purpose of just taking care of financial aspect of the illness, which is your bills of the hospital, or consulting different doctors, or it could also be a substitution of the income that a person is not able to earn while the person is unwell. So surviving benefits or the living benefits that we have are as important as they are as we have the death cover. So that's how our insurance plans usually are divided into. Moving on to what types of insurance plans we have. I'm sure everybody here has heard these terminologies, and I'm possibly going to just briefly define what they are for the purpose of everybody to understand if they don't already. There's something called a term insurance, and as the word signifies, or as the name signifies, it's about getting an insurance for a specific term. So it's a pay-as-you-go plan wherein we decide on what sort of benefits we want and for how long do we want it. So these plans typically range from 5 years to up till I turn 85, or for next 5, 15 years or 20 years. And there are a lot of people who could look at this as a solution. If you want a more economical solution, you look at this. If you are looking at protecting some sort of liabilities that you may have, your mortgages, your business loans, you could look at it. This also often acts like a key man insurance, wherein the important person of your business is insured. So, that's what a term insurance typically does. And what we also need to know is that term insurance is something that does not have any cash value associated with it. By that, what I mean is that if I outlive the term that I have taken the plan for, I will not be getting any amount back as a survivor. So I have given a cost of insurance, which is my premiums, towards having a coverage alive for the term that I opted for. Once the term finishes, unfortunately, if I have outlived the term that I had taken for, I did get the coverage, but I walk out without a cash value. And not to miss the fact that we obviously can associate and attach a lot of riders that we like to call, which are the living benefits to this plan, which can be your critical illnesses, your disability benefits, your accidental death benefits, which act and enhance the product even more, the solution even more. And moving on to the second type of insurance that's there, it's called whole of life insurance. Whole of life insurance is, as the name suggests, again, it aims to cover the insured for the whole of life. And these plans are typically unit linked. When I say unit linked, I mean that there is a premium associated with the coverage that we're opting for, and that premium gets invested into various instruments, which could be equity linked, which could be commodity linked, or just liquid instruments. So, a premium is taken, the money is paid out for a particular tenure, and the hope of the plan is for you to have a coverage up till the end of your life, provided the premiums have been paid and there is a cash value in the plan. So that's what this plan does. This is a hybrid plan, so it's a fantastic solution for people who are looking at a solution which provides you with some sort of a saving component along with covering benefits. And the day I feel that I do not need this plan, I can cash out this plan, take a value that's associated with the premiums and the investments that I have made, and close the plan. And moving on to the other type of plan that is there, which is my A&H plans. I mean, while I would think Dolly would be the better person to possibly look at it as an option if she's able to join us now.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
perfect. You're back with us.
Perfect.
So talk to us about the accident and health covers then, Dolly.
Yeah, sure. Accident and health covers that that we have, which is a standalone product. These are the products which which help you in case if you're really tight on your budget and still want to have a coverage. These kind of plans actually are very light on the pocket. Does not require any kind of a medical insurance. However, there is something called indemnity where when we enroll customers, or if a customer wants to go ahead with the plan, obviously we go on the line saying that the customer is well on health and he is aware that he is fully healthy when he's taking this particular plan. So these kind of plans are very easy to buy, and these give you, again, it gives you, as it said, that it's a comprehensive cover. It's like you can get one benefit, or most probably a combined A&H benefit, but it might be split into different various kinds of products. Like you would have critical illness cover, which will cover critical illnesses alone. You could have accidental health and health cover, which could cover accidental disabilities, accidental death, and permanent total disability. It could also give you a cover like a value-added service, like a medical discount card, or accidental medical reimbursement. So it's something wherein you get, if you know what you need. Like for example, if you're in a profession like which deals a lot of traveling, and a person who travels definitely has more chances of meeting with an accident compared to a person who who's working from home, or who doesn't require that much of traveling. Depending on your need, you can select the kind of cover and take it for yourself. So these are called standalone plans. So it is for as pocket friendly. Again, based on your needs, what is the need that you have, you can buy these products, and it gives you a comprehensive cover. So these are the standalone product that is available that a customer can go for, depending on his needs.
Thank you, Dolly. And one product as well, I was very proud to launch in the D2C channel a couple of years back, is Women's Protect, which was tailored specifically for women. It covers you for financial protection in the event of female cancers specifically. And also it has cover up to 400,000 dirhams, but it has indexation where it increases each year without the premium increasing. It's worldwide. And one of the added benefits as well is that we wanted to make sure that not only did the female feel protected in terms of her finances, but also that we protected her lifestyle and her wellness at the same time. So we have a discount card which covers things like health screening for prevention, but also covers discounts on her health needs, but also includes some of the wellness as well. So discounts for a gym and spa and all those things that we need to make sure that we relax and keep ourselves healthy and viable to come in and do our day jobs and our at-home jobs. So I think, in answer to our question that we asked previously, what more can we do to protect women in the market? I think we're in the first part of the journey by having a session like this with our panelists, building awareness, creating propositions that support women in this journey. I think we're on the way. There's still a way to go, but I think we've made some really great inroads in making sure that women are protected for the future. So after hearing our panelists speak and listening to the subject that we've discussed today, what I would like to do now is open up to see if we have any questions from our attendees.
Yes, Nadine, we have our first question that is, does financial planning between men and women differ? Do women have to consider different facts while they are getting prepared?
I would say in totality, it's the concerns are probably the same, you know, in terms of protecting assets, protecting salary, making sure that your loved ones are provided for. However, it depends on different scenarios. Some women may be working women, some may be staying at home. So I think those items will be common, but I think the priority maybe has been different, and maybe the targeting of insurance has been different between men and women, and that's why it hasn't been adopted as much by women in the past as it has by men, because we've been coming newer to the journey of having the salaries and making the input to the financials and having those responsibilities in the last few generations. So I think this is where it has changed. Would anyone else like to input?
Yeah. Thank you, Nadine. We have another question, that is the product pricing same for male and female?
Okay, I'll go with it. With regards to pricing, to an extent, some products, yes. When it comes to an A&H product, the premium pricing would be, the same. But when it comes to something like a critical illness, definitely, I think Ruchika will agree with me that, for critical illness, there are certain parameters that gets judged. So on that basis, the premium pricing keeps on, constantly the criteria keep on changing for product to product.
Thank you, Dolly. I think we'll take a last question, Nadine. Can housewives take insurance too? And if maybe I can nominate Ruchika to answer this one.
Absolutely. I mean, why not? Housewives are just as important as people who go out and work. That when we take an insurance, the purpose of insurance is to mitigate the loss that the life of that person will have, and we cannot say that a housewife's or a homemaker's life does not have a financial impact on the family. I mean, if I may say so, when during the lockdown time, I think there was a specific regard that I had for people who stay at home and who run the house, which is far more difficult and taxing than to possibly come out and work. And therefore, I would like to say, I mean, housewives are just as much eligible as a person who's earning. Of course, the financial underwriting varies, considering that they do not bring an income into the household, but they contribute to the household. So there is a difference in the underwriting that will happen. When I say underwriting, which is our team of underwriters who do the due diligence in terms of the case and the documents that are provided. But to sum it up, they're as eligible as anybody else, so long as they meet the criteria.
Sure. Thank you, Ruchika. And just to add on to it, there's one more question which I would want you to answer. Can I, as a woman, buy a policy for my husband, as in he being the insured?
Yes,
you can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Ruchika, you can go ahead.
Okay. So I think we are done with questions as well, Nadine.
Thank you, Pragati, and some great questions there. Thank you. So I suppose all that's left for me to do is to thank everybody, the panelists, and for sharing your personal experiences and also your expertise. I feel that we have had a really valuable session, and I'm convinced that it will make a difference for the other amazing women as well that we have in considering their own well-being, both financially and health-wise, whatever their circumstances. We have options available for all types. And I want to thank our audience as well for joining us today and celebrating International Women's Day with us. And thank you for your questions. And I look forward to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Norwina. Thanks, Ruchika.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.